it's just, to me, it's like I never sleep. I don't sleep a lot anyway. I'm old and I don't sleep. And, you know, Tony Horton always says you need to sleep. I said, well, how do I do it? I'm too excited, right, about life. You know, coming here, being with you guys. But let me just give you a little bit of my background. I grew up in kind of a home that was dysfunctional, you know, and I call it dysfunctional because I had this alcoholic mom who drank for 30 years, and you know, she got sober and was sober for 40, and then she died last year of Alzheimer's. Incredible woman. I was madly in love with my mother. But you know, she married 4 guys that were extremely abusive, and it was just a really bad childhood. And when I was 12 years old, I was an obese child. I weighed 180 pounds. I was 4'11", almost 5 foot. 180 pounds. And I remember that, and that's one of the things I think attracted me to this business, because I started seeing the pain of people that are obese and what they go through in their lives. And you know, a lot of times it's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you. You know, when you think about people that have those challenges. So I used to sit in this closet. I'd get in this closet because it was my place to hide out. It was my secret garden. I'd go in there. And I remember sitting in there, and you know, it was always this thing where I was kind of felt like I was a loser, and you know, we didn't have anything. We were extremely poor. I had 4 brothers. We all slept in one bed in one room of this house, and you know, but there was, for some reason, in my mind and my heart, I always just felt like someday, some way, I was going to do something with my life, and I didn't even know what that was. You know, sometimes it was just like this voice, and it wasn't like God opened the door and this light came through and a rainbow came down or anything. It was just like that I knew that someday, some way, I was going to do something with my life and make a difference. And I didn't really know what that was going to be. And to trust me, it wasn't like at that time I felt this voice said network marketing. That didn't happen, right? And so, you know, so that wasn't it. It was just that I knew that you know, I call it DNA. And so some of you have heard me speak, you've heard me talk about it. It's determined natural ambition, right? Some of us are born with it, and some of us don't have it, right? And it's not something you can go after. It's not something that you can go get. It's something that's innate. It's born inside of you. And a lot of you in here, I saw you shaking your heads when I was kind of telling you my story about that someday, some way, I'm going to do something great with my life. And you know what? For a lot of you, you were that same person. And you grew up that way. And you know, it's funny because when kids are little, and little kids, they believe they can do anything, right? Like a baby like this. I mean, this born beautiful masterpiece, poema, God's creation, beautiful child. They're born that. That's how we all start out. And then all of a sudden, life starts to get to us, and all of a sudden we have situations, and we have these hand-me-downs, a lot of times I call them. They're given to you from your family and your dads, and some of them are good, and some of them are idiots, and all that stuff. And we take them with us, and we carry them in our lives. And so we lose a lot of those dreams, and we start giving up on ourselves, and we give up on life. You know, that was easy for me to be that way. But there was still that voice for me that I was going to be able to do something. And I got 4 other brothers, and I love them dearly, but they don't have the DNA I have. You know, my oldest brother, my second youngest brother, he owns a construction company, comes over every night, smokes cigarettes, watches ESPN, and drinks beer. And he's the happiest guy in the world. And I love him, and I love going up and hanging out with my brothers. But they think I'm crazy. They think I'm crazy because my whole life has been about changing people's lives and about becoming better and about dreams. And you know, I always say, I'm going to climb a mountain until the day God puts me down. And if I get to the top, I'm going to find one higher. I'm going to keep going after it. And that's the way I've always wanted to live my life, with passion, and to do something wonderful and great with my life. But as I started to understand what that was, for me it became other people. You know, I go to a church called Saddleback Church, and Rick Warren talks. He's a pastor there, and you know, every week he says, "It's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you." And I guess what I understood when a friend of mine called me up one time. I'd been married for 5 years at the time. He came over to our house. My wife and I were separated because we were going to get divorced, because I was working all night as a cop and all day in construction. Any law enforcement people here? Okay, geez, nobody. Yeah, nobody's armed. I hope we're safe. Anyway, I'll tell you a quick, really funny story about that. I'm kind of off-tracking, but I was doing an Amway meeting at a house one night. I forgot I had my gun on. I wore a shoulder holster when I was off duty. And I'm sitting there, and I remember I had this jacket on, you know, because he always wore a tie and jacket in Amway. So I had my jacket on, and I got to the point I started sweating, and I said, look, there's no doubt in my mind. I looked right at the guy sitting in front of me. I said, who's got my mind? You're going to want to get in this business. And I took it so much. I took it. I swear to God, the guy's eyes got like, oh, dude, I'm in. But anyway, you know, so I was a cop all night and worked in construction all day, and I always used to tell people that just means at night I worked with, or during the day I worked with weirdos and perverts. At night I arrested them. That was construction and law enforcement. But anyway, and so, you know, we were working 7 days a week, everything we possibly could, and I was $250,000 in debt. And I was in that debt because I had 3 homes in the market over $1.5 million each that I had built, couldn't sell them in a terrible market in 1979. We were starving to death. You know, we didn't have any money. You know, I always told my wife, you marry me, you'll have your dream car, and she had a beat up old Volkswagen, you know, the kind that when you shut it off, it didn't stop. You ever have a car like that? You know, we'd go to the house some nights, we'd say, okay, we'd bet 11, you know, we'd try to figure out how many times it would go before it finally died. And I was like, you had to lay hands on it and cast something out of it. But anyway, anyway, so we were broke, we didn't have, and so this friend of mine calls me up and says, hey, I want to show you a business opportunity. And I said, okay. So he comes over to my house, sits down, and asks me, he says, hey, listen, how are you doing right now? And one thing I'll tell you ladies about men, they lie. They'll lie right to your face because they always have a huge ego. So when he said, how are you doing? I said, dude, we're doing great. What do you mean, how are we doing? I've worked this job, I got my company, and I'm just like lying to the guy. And my wife's got this look on her face like, are you sick? Are you lying? And then he asked her. Now women are on it. They go, well, how you doing, Carol? She goes, we're starving to death. I'm thinking, oh, great. Now he's got us sucked into whatever this thing's all about. So I didn't have the best attitude in the world. But anyway, he shows me the Amway business. And at that time, I had never heard of Amway. I was one of these weird people, never heard of it. Took a look at what he showed. And what he showed me was he drew 6 circles, and he said, if you can find 6 people with a dream and 6 people that want to do more in life and want to change their life, he said, you can build a multi-million-dollar business. And that's all I heard that night. I didn't hear anything else. And he said, believe me, there's people out there that want more out of life. And I remember that's all I learned that night, and that's all I knew. But you know what? I had been talking to my friends. I knew where they were at. I live in Orange County. People there, they buy things they don't have with money, or they don't want with money they don't have to impress people they don't even like. And that's kind of how they live their lives, right? So I knew my friends. A lot of them were hurting. They made a lot of money. They just had no time to enjoy their lives. So all these names started floating into my mind. Like when you got in this business and all of a sudden these names started coming in. Oh, God, Mary and Jack could use this. Oh, I was talking to my girlfriend just the other day. She wants to be able to come home with her baby. And all these things come up all the time for us. People say to me, who am I going to share this business with in Beachbody? The people I talk to. Who am I going to share this business with? I have to do 2 exposures a day. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? 2 exposures. I hate Larry Siegfried. Why do you come up with this? And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? If we live life and we wake up every day and we believe in what we have and we believe what this business is, how do you shut up about it? How do you not share your life with people? How do you not ask them questions about their life and engage them? Because most of them are dying on the inside or the outside. It doesn't matter if they're way overweight. Inside, the hope is dying. The hope is gone. With this economy, this business is thriving in this economy. Why? Because people that would never look at this kind of business will look at it. Why? Because they know they don't have anything else. It's Christmas time, you guys. We're almost at Christmas again. How many of you last year at Christmas said, next year it's going to be different? I'm not going to put it on a credit card. I'm going to be able to buy the things my kids want. And here you are 12 months later and you're sitting there going, what happened? Why am I right back where I was? Because if you don't change something you're doing, you end up in the same place. And that's the way it was for me. So when he showed me the business, I got excited about it. I didn't worry about what people thought. I just figured I can find 6 people. I remember Dan said, if you don't, I says, Dan, I can find 6. He says, well, if you don't know 6, you're going to be in trouble because if you die, take 6 to carry you out, dude. You're going to sit there. But I looked at that and I said, 6, that's no big deal. So when I got in Amway in 1979, I got excited about it. I didn't worry about what people thought about me. I wasn't worried about Joe down the street, what he would say if I got in the Amway business. Right? I didn't care about any of that because they didn't pay my bills. They didn't take care of my family. They didn't, when I wanted to have my first child, I didn't want to be anything but a full-time dad. My dad was gone when I was 7. He left my life. I never saw him again. And I was mad at him for a lot of years. And it messed my life up mentally when I couldn't get through that masculine soul heal that happens in your heart when it's first just for us men, when somebody walks out of your life. And I never wanted to be that dad. I wanted to be full-time. So why would I worry if somebody laughed at me? Why would I worry if somebody put me down? Are they going to take care of my kids? Are they going to be there for Little League coaching and doing all those things? Heck no. So I didn't care about that kind of stuff. And if you're sitting here tonight and you're worried about what other people think, okay, you need to get over it. Because you know what? It's about your dream. How many of us spend time apologizing for our dreams? We try to tell someone, well, we really want to do this, but I know it seems kind of crazy. Why is it crazy? It's your dream. It's the DNA. It's what was put inside of you. And you know what? And some of you have seen this. I posted on Facebook. Life, let me tell you something about life. Struggle is a lot less painful than regret. Struggle is a whole lot less painful than regret. And so some of us go through life, and if you've got that dream and that DNA like I have, then I guarantee you it doesn't matter whether it's this year or when you're 75 years old, you're going to look back and the dream's not going anywhere.